we're literally coming off kind of on breaking news, and I have to kind of work on confirming this, but Mark Berman, I'm just seeing it. Fox Sports is tweeting out that Houston defensive end Derek Parish suffered a torn bicep in last night's game over Rice, and he'll need surgery. And that's the case, he'll probably be out for the season. So let me see if I can confirm that before this show ends. But that would be a huge blow to Houston if that's true.
And with that note, welcome to another edition of Folks Talkin Sports. That was the voice and the face of Andy Yanez with that breaking news about, I think, the best defensive player, Houston's best defensive player, Derek Parish, who was injured late. It just lost Willy Gibson. There, what happened, Will? Late in the second quarter, last night, Saturday's win over Rice, 34-27 over the Rice Owls. I'm Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. You see Andy Yanez. See if you
owner of Let's Rage Coogs.
There we go.
Head in there. We're owners.
Coming to Willy Gibson in Ohio.
Sir.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well.
Both gentlemen.
Yes. And let me say, welcome to Folks Talkin Sports. I'm going to do better. It's on our Twitter account at Folks Talk Sports. So we'll get that up on the screen. It's also available on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Tell your friends about the show. Got to do a better job of self-promotion. As much as I harp on and criticize UH marketing, I don't do a good enough job promoting our work. So I got to do better doing that myself. So physician, heal thyself. So I'm trying to do part of that. Mr. Gibson, you were kind of close. The game was much closer than I think Andy thought and predicted. You said Rice would win flat out. Rice led at halftime. The Cougs had to come from behind to win. They only won by 7, 34-27. So they did not cover the 17-point spread, which didn't think that was going to happen anyway. But you were close, sir. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, not that I wanted to be right, to be mean or spiteful, but I just think, it's the law of the lid. Stephen Covey, it's the law of the lid. And you only go as high or as far as the head of any program, the head of any organization will take you. And I'm sorry, Dana Holgorsen, as the head of that organization, as the head of that program, is substandard to me. The things that he says, the things that he does. And I just thought the comment that he made the week previous postgame about needing better players, I didn't think that would sit well with his current players. And at a certain point, I think, they may not be playing for him, but I think at a certain point, you got to play for self. And I think now those guys are out there playing for self instead of him.
And with that segue, Mr. Gibson, we got this clip to play for you. You're going to love this.
Yeah.
Post-game comments from Coach Holgorsen. You're going to love this. Check this out, everybody.
What we got? We got the strip sack where Caesar scored, and then the pick, right? Then Tabo's pick. Yeah, you got to get some turnovers to win. I don't know what to say. We're somehow 2-2. Somehow won that game. Give Rice a ton of credit. Coach Holgorsen is coaching his tail off. They're a lot better. Pretty motivated to play. We knew, coming into the season and the schedule's setting up the way it is, I'm going to enjoy this one. And then 6 days later, we get to play an undefeated Tulane team here. So it can't get any easier. Every game's going to be hard. Somehow we figured out a way to win. I'm grateful for that. A lot of stupid stuff once again. I ain't taking responsibility for that. At some point, we got to quit doing that. I do like how some guys that haven't been playing very much, stepped in and played. I think we're down about 10, 12 starters somewhere in there. Never seen anything like it. Nobody cares. You lose guys, you expect to put guys in there to play at a high level. Just glad to get out of here with the win. Give Rice a lot of credit, man. They played hard. Coach well played hard.
He's horrible. Get him out of there. Are you serious? I ain't taking responsibility for that. Then you're a piss poor leader. Are you kidding me? All right, man. All right.
Well, it sounds like you're reading a lot of the comments from the YouTube clip.
What? Wow. All right. Okay.
I mean, what else is there to say? We still have a piss poor penalties. I ain't taking responsibility for that. But you are the head coach of this program.
Wow.
Being paid millions of dollars to be the head coach, but you ain't taking responsibility for that.
And in interest of full disclosure, folks, I didn't see that. I was not aware of those comments when I said what I said. And that's crazy. Oh my gosh.
I saw a tweet of the quote, so I did not hear it until Andy played it to me before we started the show. So I knew you were going to love that. So, I mean, those comments are they're rubbing some alums the wrong way. Okay.
That's what they should.
And I hope they're rubbing the right alums the wrong way. The people who supported Coach Holgorsen all this time and who excused some of his quirks, Dana being Dana, all those things. But y'all just heard it. He said it in post game. He ain't taking responsibility for the stupid penalties that have been happening for the first 4 games this season. He's the head coach. He's the head of the snake. Think of a cliche. But he is the head coach, but he's not taking responsibility for the stupid penalties.
Can I contrast that?
Yes.
Can I contrast that?
Please do.
Ryan Day, post-game of a 52-21 win over Wisconsin last night. It was 52-14. Wow. Breon Allen, running back for Wisconsin, runs 65 yards untouched up the sideline for a touchdown. To make it a 5-score game.
Yeah.
Okay? To make it a 31-point lead instead of a 38-point lead. Post-game, he was asked about it. He said, that's on me. That's on me. Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator. Jim wanted to keep starters in. I wanted to get guys out of there to keep them fresh, avoid injury. We had some non-starters in there. That's on me. And a 31-point win.
Right.
But to hear that, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And Andy, I'm going to ask you. I've heard from alums today, okay, who were very disappointed, and I'm going to put this up right here. Disappointed, pissed off with the comment. Well, hold up. Before I go, Tony, I'll put your comment up here. The buck stopped with him. If it wasn't football, any good boss takes responsibility for the good and the bad. Correct.
Facts.
Correct. Those are facts. I'm an owner of my company, and he's an owner of his. You got your company. All of us. The buck stops with us when it comes to our companies. Period. I ain't taking responsibility for that. Please. And let me say this, and before I get into my next question. I think I texted it to you, and I think I did. Yeah, I think I sent it to you guys as well when I heard it. Beginning of the football game, the ESPN Plus broadcast, okay? The announcers, I forget the announcers. I know one of them was a former Rice quarterback. The announcers referenced Coach Holgorsen and his vodka and Red Bull, okay? He is the example of the University of Houston football program, Dana Holgorsen, and now national announcers are acknowledging during a broadcast that Coach Holgorsen is very straightforward before even his vodka and Red Bulls. As an alum, I don't want that representing my program. Okay? I don't have enough money to get him gone. All right? If I did, I'd be making phone calls right now. Because that I ain't taking responsibility. That was it. That was it for me. But Andy, my question to you, I've heard from alums today who want him gone because of that comment. That was the final straw. You know, in addition to the very shaky win over the Rice Owls. So we're going back to the question, who was going to pay the buyout to get rid of him if we're so fed up with him as head coach, as a representative of the University of Houston? You got it, Andy.
Who's going to be the alumni that has to step up to get him gone? Is that what you asked?
Well, I'm asking you, are you surprised, or do you think it's realistic that UH alums will put together their money, or if it's one money alum will say, this is enough. He is embarrassing our program. He has to go. I want him gone. This season is it, period.
I think I'm foreseeing, and if you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said that no way. I don't think the road could have fallen apart as far as it could have. But seeing how frustrated, and it's interesting because quarterback Clayton Tune he was asked to summarize the first 4 games, and what he said was along the lines of there's been a lot of drama so far this season, and he kind of prefaced it by saying it's a lot of small things he feels that they can correct, but it seems like team overall is just disorganized. I mean, even from looking at it at an on-field perspective, 10 penalties in all 4 games. They've committed 10 or more penalties in all 4 games, which last time I checked, it's the most in all. They have the most penalties in all of college football, I believe, at 43 total penalties. That just goes back to undisciplined. We mentioned in the Let's Rage Coogs stream yesterday when for the past 3 weeks Dana Holgorsen has been talking about stupid stuff. He said it so much that he needs to trademark the phrase as much as he said it, and really when you hear answers like that, I think it was a week ago when he was asked about just playing a Big 12 opponent, and it has to do with getting more players or better players. That's rubbed a lot of alumni the wrong way as well. Followed it up this week with that comment where he said he's not going to take responsibility once again for the penalties, and then he followed it up with another comment that I don't think we have the clip specifically, but it was a question where he was asked. I think I'm the one that asked him just what he thought of the second half performance by Houston, because they give credit to the on the field product. They were able to rally, and albeit it was Rice, but they were able to keep composure, and they took care of business and beat the Owls. And he went on to say that he's frustrated with having to motivate the team. And I'm actually going to read the direct quote because I have it, and this is a direct quote from Dana Holgorsen. "I'm tired of doing it, man. I'm tired of yelling at them, tired of motivating them, tired of all that crap. College football, nobody is feeling sorry for us. No one is feeling sorry for me. I am a little bit, but they did it." This is when he's talking about the comeback. They did come back. They went out and played better, end quote. So a lot of frustration, and those answers, I think it's really starting to get a lot of people. There's a lot of momentum, and depending on how the rest, now that they're starting conference play, if the rails really go off the train for Houston, I can totally see a lot, because he's not winning the public battle at all whatsoever. If they did a poll on him like they do for presidential candidates, I'm sure his approval rating would be less than 20%, if like that might, and honestly that might even be generous. So a couple of weeks ago I would have said their hands are tied just because of the extension they gave him after last season, but with the way the season has gone, a lot of the public opinion, honestly I wouldn't be surprised if they're one really bad game away from him getting out there. And hearing Will's responses, I tend to agree with him, especially from a coaching leader and someone that's in that position. It's so weird. You're not often going to hear a coach say that about his players, especially when it comes to sports. There's a lot of often times where you hear the cliches of, yeah, we were able to pull together, we won, but there's a lot of stuff we have to clean up, and flat out, I get it as frustration, and it's something a lot of fans are feeling just in terms of how Houston has looked on the field, but you just can't say stuff like that, especially when it comes to your players.
And Will, to add to the comments, the refusing to take responsibility, his play calling and decision making is now in question. Toward the end of the game, he accepted penalties that made no sense. He called timeout, and I might have been wrong, and I was corrected on it last night, but he called timeout. Rice what was it, Andy? Got the ball.
It was a 51-yard Hail Mary.
Well, yeah, they got the ball on their own 4-yard line. With less than a minute left, like 30 seconds.
When the drive started, yeah, they started at their own 6, and they drove down 85 yards in 24 seconds.
No timeouts. Right, so
like
no timeout.
85 yards in 23 seconds, actually. And they got to 1 second. I can't remember it, so it's 85 yards. They were probably about somewhere between the 15 and 20-yard line, and they had one final chance to Mike, the Rice head coach, after the game, he was asked about it, and and it looks like they would have probably gone for 2, but less than 24 seconds, they're up 7. Rice is pinned back at its own 6-yard line, and they march down the field 85 yards and have a chance. And honestly, in the final play, when TJ McMahon first threw the pass to McCaffrey, I thought he had caught it, and that would have been.
Check this out, Will. 8 seconds left. Rice is probably at the 40. Quarterback TJ McMahon throws a bomb, a Hail Mary. 8 seconds on the clock. Rice has no timeouts. Wide receiver, Rosner catches it. Okay. First down, automatic first down. Officials decide there's some confusion. Officials decide that play took 7 seconds. Okay. Leaving 1 second left on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Through the confusion, Dana calls timeout.
What?
Yes.
Well, the referee said that they were going to start the play on the whistle. So Rice, it had been a cluster where the officials literally had no idea what was going on. Long story short, they decided there was 1 second left. But that given time for Rice to line up, and it would have been interesting if they would have blown the whistle. I don't know what would have happened if they would have had enough time to be able to snap the ball in that 1 second. But Holgorsen decided to call timeout and I guess game plan for the defensive strategy.
Yeah, to allow Rice and UA to set up strategy. Okay, that's the rationale you can use. But Andy's right. Well, Luke McCaffrey beat UA's DB on the slant. The pass to him was just a step behind him. Rice could have caught it for the touchdown to move within 1, potentially setting up to go for 2.
And the head coach said he would have gone for 2 had they. He probably would have gone for 2 had they gone for it. The stadium would have been.
Rice probably would have won because UA would have been in shock, for everything happening in those last 30 seconds or so.
And 94-yard drive. We have a clip where Holgorsen kind of references that, and it just boils down to frustration. I'm gonna play it right now.
Give Rice a lot of credit. They put a lot into this one. You can tell they were coming off a good win last week, so they were feeling pretty good about themselves. At the end of the day, it was a heck of a football game. It's the 44th time for the Buyout bucket. I mean, it means something to a lot of people, like I said all week, and it's not surprising this was a close game. I'm happy with the way our team just kept playing and found a way to win at the end. Very happy with that.
Next question.
Dana, have you ever started the season with 4 games in a row quite like this? This close to this.
No, I can't remember that. And there's things that I've seen in these 4 games that I haven't seen ever in 32 years of coaching. We'll line up and do it again next week. 6 nights from tonight, got another one. Tulane's going to come in pretty hot.
What are some of those things, Dana, that you have? Is it more the overtime?
The inability to be able to play defense with no time on the clock. God dang. Into half, into game. I mean, it's every game. I mean, how about offensively, we get a dang first down and victory it. We can't, our short yardage offense was pitiful. And, I'm not just mad at the defense over some of this stuff. Offense can get in victory formation and close the damn game out. We couldn't. So then we got to give them the ball, and they almost go 96 yards in what amounted to, 24 seconds. God dang, I hadn't seen anything like this ever. I don't know how many penalties we had, probably 20, and that's 4 games in a row at double digits. I don't know. I've coached the same way for 32 years, and it's hard, and it's getting irritated.
That's the problem.
Well,
I've coached the same way for 32 years. So you haven't evolved.
Chris,
You're doing the same thing, expecting different results.
That's the same thing you
said. The
said.
same thing last night. Exact same thing, Will.
Wait a minute. Man, oh my gosh. I mean, I had some other stuff, but that right there was the money shot. Like, bruh, I'm coaching the same way for the last 32 years. Therein lies the problem.
But I'm going to put this comment up. Tony M., I'm glad you have your initial for your last name and not a full name because I wouldn't want to out you like this. But regarding firing Dana and paying the buyout, this is an issue.
What is this buyout? Does anyone know? Do you know?
Oh, we'd have to pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money for Buckeyes. Okay, it's a lot of money to UH people.
Okay.
It's not a lot of money for big time programs who say they're big time programs. Let me say that.
Aren't you going to the Big 12?
Well,
I digress.
You know how I feel. You know how I feel about this. So we're gonna see, because he is embarrassing the program with his comments. His Red Bull and vodka comments are known nationwide now. Let me see here. His excuse making is worse. All right, let me see if I can get to the buyout.
And I noticed his earlier comments. It was they. Mm-hmm. They. Aren't you a part of this? Aren't you the leader? Aren't you the head? Doesn't it flow from the top?
It's supposed to.
Yeah. So to separate, that was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. I'm just saying like this. He signed an extension for 4 years worth $18.2 million. To the next 5 years, basically it's $5 million per year. So it's $25 million. So let's say the buyout is $18 million. You know, I'm just putting out there because I don't know exactly. Let's say that's what it is. $18 million until we know exact number. That's a lot of money to us. But I hate to pin it all on him because he has been the UH money man for so long. But the Tillman, let me get to that. I got that in my drawer. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it comes down to, is how many buddies does Dana still have to vouch for him despite these piss poor refusal of being a leader and being accountable for your team and your program statements he's making constantly now. And they're 2-2. And folks are beginning, I think, to have concerns about UH in AAC play now that's about to begin. You know, before the season, no problem. We're going to run through the conference, no problem. And now folks are like, I don't know.
What's the AAC?
It's conferences that they forgot about, you know, then moving to the Big 12.
Yeah,
next summer. Yeah, you know, next summer that's happening next summer, but yeah.
Okay.
So, and Andy, have you seen the line for Friday's game against Tulane?
Not yet, but I can pull that up in a second.
So
I picked the Green Wave. No, spray it up.
I think everybody is.
Well,
you know, and it's Houston's blackout game. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be on
what was the crowd? What was the crowd yesterday?
Announced crowd of 26,000.
Just north of 26,000.
Okay.
Against, and let me put this up because y'all know where I'm going to go in a few seconds. Christian Trahan, tight end for Houston. Captain. I didn't know that. Goes out for the coin toss. Tight end was important to the offense last season, Will. Okay, pass catching tight end. Important, utilized. I'm not sure he's caught more than 2 passes the whole season this year, these first 4 games.
Wow. Who's the play caller? Who's the OC?
Andy? Which gets into another point. The first 4 games this season, Houston's offense has struggled in the first half of 3 of those first 4 games. The last 2 games, it seems like at halftime, Dana decides, maybe I should call the plays because in the third quarter, they're much more aggressive. Where was this in the first 2 quarters? Where Mr. Genius, Mr.
Who is the play
Genius.
caller? Who is the play caller? I'm done.
What's his name?
I'm looking through it. Shannon Dawson is the
Yes.
passing game coordinator, but they don't have an official offensive coordinator, at least not on their listings for the
it's
coaches.
a title, but I think Shannon Dawson, he does it poorly, as alums are pointing out and calling him out with his Doug O'Brien type play calls. So it's just not good. Will, it's not a good look. The performances yesterday.
And to add to that, Christian Trahan, he's caught 5 passes for 36 yards all season through 4 games. And credit to James Mueller from the Daily Cougar, obviously friend of the show. I guess he's kind of a co-host of the show now with how often he is. But he asked Dana Holgorsen about Trahan this previous week. And honestly, we didn't really get a response. We had vague comments that he had been dealing with the way they phrased it was a physical issue or some type of issue that was limiting the way Trahan practiced. Trahan was made available to reporters on Tuesday. He was asked about it. He said it was something physical, but it never got into anything specific. Trahan himself, when he was asked if it had limited his practice time, he kind of kept it vague, where he said, even if I'm not able to be on the practice field, I'm still able to get the mental reps and stuff like that. But he has been an on-factor for Houston on the offensive game. And quite frankly, the tight ends in general have been an on-factor for Houston in the first 4 games.
Which I don't understand.
Go ahead. The other comment that WRex32 had asked, or Rex32 had asked ahead or a little bit before, where he was asking why Houston didn't accept the roughing the kicker penalty. Well, that had been set up because they decided they were at midfield. That was when they were, I believe it was a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and short. They opted to run right down the middle with Tajon Henry. They didn't pick it up, and that set up the final punt to back to Rice that led to the final 85-yard play. And since it was 4th and 1 after they didn't pick it up, they opted to take the delay of game. And then when they did punt, it was a roughing the kicker. So they would have
running into the kicker.
Yep. So it was only the 5-yard penalty. It would have put them back where they started. So they opted to not accept it and just let Rice start from the 6.
Yeah. So it went from 4th and 1, the led game, 4th and 6, running into the kicker, back to 4th and 1, and they punted. Or the ball ended up after the running into the kicker inside Rice's 10-yard line. So he went with the odds, I guess. You think your defense can stop a team who has no timeouts from going.
No timeouts, 24 seconds.
95 yards to tie the game up. And Rice's coach, Bloomgren, burned his last timeout on a challenge call. So that was on him. If he had that timeout, game Rice might have won. I mean, and we're talking Rice. Rice football, Rice has improved. Yes. The talent level has gotten better for Rice. And Will.
Yes, sir.
We touched on this a lot last night during the postgame show. Let's Red Coogs postgame show. Rice's receivers beat Houston DBs one-on-one almost the entire game.
Yeah, they could
at will. At will. Off the line scrimmage, look at deep routes. I mean, all day. 3 receivers, pick a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats, the Rice had 3 different receivers go over 50 yards. They had 2 receivers finish with over 100 yards, and I mean, McCaffrey could have ended up having the sealer. It looked like, again, going back to that final play where it was the bang bang, they were right there and they could have done it. But Houston's secondary has really, really struggled for much of the season, the entire season. And again, a similar script. They just can't stop teams when it comes to those situations, those game clinching situations. Even going back to the Texas Tech game when they were at a 4th and 20 in the first overtime. If they had gotten the stop on 4th and 20, they would have won that game against Texas Tech. And they allowed the Red Raiders to convert on that 4th and 20 against Kansas. That a little bit different. It wasn't much more of an aerial attack, but they couldn't stop the rush at all from Kansas's attack. And against UTSA, they were in a similar situation at the end of regulation, where I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been 23 seconds that UTSA had. And the Roadrunners were able to drive down the field and get in position to kick the game time field goal that forced the overtime. So the secondary on the defense overall has really struggled in those late game clinching situations. That was something that Dana Holgorsen was alluding to in that clip that we played, where he was talking about he'd done the same thing for 32 years and he hasn't seen something quite like that.
And this is after DeAnthony Jones made the 2 plays,
back-to-back
sacks. And, the strip sack led to the Caesar scoop and score that gave the Cougs the go-ahead touchdown. For the most part, the defensive line came through in the fourth quarter, but not on the final drive for Rice. I mean, Rice, those 24 seconds, almost scored the game-winning touchdown on a 95-yard drive, 94-yard, whatever it was. So they didn't get it done in those final seconds. So, again, that's a concern. And if you are tuning in late to this edition of Folks Talkin Sports, Houston's best defensive lineman, Derek Parish, was it a torn bicep? That's the report. According
to Mark Berman of the Houston Chronicle, that is a torn bicep that he suffered in Houston's win over Rice. And if he does require surgery, it's likely going to cost him the rest of the season, which really brutal to see. Derek Parish is obviously, like you mentioned, he's put together a pretty great season considering that he's been playing with a right cast. And I mean, every time he talks to reporters, he's one of the good quotes, and he just seems like a really good person to be around. But that's what Mark Berman said, torn or injured bicep that could potentially cost him the season, but I have not been able to confirm as of now.
So hopefully he gets a healthy recovery. And another thing, I know it's football, it's a different sport. Coach Holgorsen referenced the injuries that are really hitting Houston football right now. He mentioned 10 to 12 starters. During the game, I think 2 of Houston's offensive linemen went out, missed time because of injuries, ankle, knees, etc. Wide receiver Tank Dell missed the game, checked out a game with an ankle issue on I thought kind of a dirty tackle, trying to twist his knee and ankle on a tackle. Coach Holgorsen is now he's getting into we're injured. We got too many injuries. Different sport, different coach, different leader, different response. Will, Andy, Rex 3220M, D Skills H-Town, watching on YouTube. The Houston Cougars men's basketball team got to the Elite Eight with basically 3 guards. 2 of their best guards missed the second half of the season, right? Right?
Yep.
Correct.
And yet Coach Sampson and staff, but Coach Kelvin Sampson figured out a way to guide that team deep into the tournament to still win the conference championship despite those injuries. I mean, either you have depth, either you know what you're doing or you don't. And you don't make excuses. I mean, and you heard it through many times in the press conference. Coach Sampson said it. Sometimes you get injuries. You go through an injury-plagued season. It happens. Sometimes you go through the season without injuries. That's part of the job. Mm-hmm. Year to year, it's a different team, different thing, different circumstances. You adjust, you adapt. The Cougs basketball team still kept winning. Dana Holgorsen's like, well, guys, now we're getting injured. So I'm not responsible for what happens the rest of the season because if we're getting injured, who knows? It won't even be my fault because we're now banged up. That's going to be next, Will. I mean,
do you only coach the first 22 or do you coach the full 85 or the full 105 or however many? I mean, that's wow.
Yeah, wow. There we go. Okay, it looks like Joseph Duarte found, I think, a better info. At the end of this year, the buyout is $11 million.
Oh, goodbye.
11.5. Yep.
See you.
Through December 31, it's 11.5 million. Next year's 9.3.
Oh, Happy New Year.
2024, 7.2.
Oh, say less. Say
You know.
less. We can stop. 9-3. Let's go. Happy New Year.
So yeah, January 1st, 2023. So next year it's $9.3 million.
Oh,
$9.39 million.
say less.
So I think I choose to believe there are some Houston alums who can take care of that. Okay, I choose to believe that. All right, on their own. So we'll see. Dana's not going to change. Okay, he's set in his ways. The question is, have we reached the final straw? Will the losses begin? I think the losses in conference play will be more nails in the coffin. Okay.
Agreed.
I think that's what it's going to take.
I mean, like losses like Baylor, TCU.
Well, no. Will.
You said conference losses, right?
Right. Well, you know,
Big 12.
I'm not one of them. The Coogs are still
Big 12.
in the American Athletic Conference.
Oh,
They're still playing Tulane this Friday, 6 p.m. on ESPN.
my bad.
The blackout game. Oh boy, there. And then at Memphis, it's gonna be a struggle. At Navy should be the most winnable, because at Navy and South Florida. At SMU is going to be a problem. Temple should not be a problem, but who knows what's going to happen between September 30th and then on November 12th.
Hey, I know I said it for Lance Leopold, and I meant it, and I kind of mean it now. Don't sleep on Stan Drayton. Don't sleep on Stan Drayton.
Yeah. They're getting better. And who's to say the players, the UH players, are just get fed up with
When is that game?
against Temple?
Temple. Yes.
November 12th?
Okay.
Yeah, November 12th. Home at Houston, November 12th.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll see. I think this Friday's game against Tulane, it's the first game of Houston's final season in the American Athletic Conference. So it's a conference game. The Cougs still have a chance to play for the conference championship, the AAC conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a chance to host that AAC championship game, which would probably be the only way TDECU Stadium gets a full crowd, is if the Cougs get to the conference championship game. But beyond that, UH men's basketball practice starts on Tuesday, September
27th.
So there we go. See what I did there?
Yep.
And some good news for UH fans, especially UH men's basketball fans. Top 100 big man on Friday, Jacob McFarland, announced his verbal commitment to Coach Kelvin Sampson and the Coogs. So he is the third commitment for the class of 2023, joining who, Andy? Cordelius Jefferson and JoJo Tugler from Texas, 6'4" guard and 6'8" forward.
That's a good segue. I had to let me check the draft class. When I checked it on Friday, that still hadn't updated, but Houston was ranked 20th nationally, their 2023 class before he had commit. So I'm curious to see how those rankings have changed since then.
So, and let me also add, Jacob McFarland is from California, Rancho Verde, California. So that's a national commit. He is slim right now, Will.
Wow.
He's 6'10", 6'11", 205.
Like Chet Holmgren. Okay.
So
and his commit jumped Houston his overall ranking from 20th to they now have the 11th best ranking nationally heading into for the class of 2023.
Ohio State still 4?
Glance at the other teams. Look at Ohio State and how many other teams from the Big 12 do you see in there.
Let me see if I can pull up the.
But yeah, take your time, pull it up. But Will,
I
Jacob
got it.
McFarland's
So
story. Go ahead.
Ohio State is actually they've fallen. Will they're now 5th.
Oh, 5.
Kentucky is 4. Number 1 is Duke with. When it comes to class of 23 commits, Michigan State at 2, UConn at 3, Kentucky at 4, Ohio State at 5, Iowa State at 6, Oregon at 7, Tennessee at 8, Maryland at 9, Xavier at 10, and then there's Houston at 11 for class of 20.
Keep going. Go to 20. See if we got any more Big
12
12
20.
teams.
So we got Oklahoma State, another Big 12 team. We got Marquette at 13th, Ole Miss at 14th, Penn State at 15th, Kansas at 16th, Baylor at 17th, Kansas State at 18th, and then Louisville 19th, and then UCLA rounds out the top 20.
So that's about 5 Big 12 off the top of my head, 5 in the top 20. Iowa State, Houston, Kansas, Baylor, 6. Because you said Kansas State and Oklahoma State, right?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. And Kansas probably go up. So
speaking of Kansas, I'm sorry. Go ahead, True.
You counted Houston as the Big 12, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So, yep, that's where Houston is 6.
Yep. But Jacob McFarland, he'll get stronger working with Coach Bishop. But his backstory is he had no Division I scholarship offers after last school year. None. Okay. Coach Sampson, again, and the staff, they find these diamonds in the rough, and they have a great track record of coaching these guys up and helping them get better, get stronger. So Jacob McFarland, 6'10", 6'11". Right now, he's a shot blocker. Will, he's shot blocker and a lob threat. That's what he is right now.
Okay.
And the comments that he said when he announced his decision to commit to Houston, kind of along those lines, that he was really sold. Well, first he mentioned how the family atmosphere at Houston stuck out to him, but then he also went on to talk about how the vision that Kelvin Sampson for him really sold him to come to the program. And he said, like you said, Chris, being able to develop him as a defensive player and expand his offensive game from being more of a rim runner or something along the lines that he said, just overall being able to come to Houston. The interesting quote he said is that Sampson didn't promise him any specific rotational minutes or promised him anything like that. And he followed it up with saying he didn't want anything handed to him. So just off those quotes, I mean, Kelvin kind of talked exactly. Kelvin talked about it on the Thursday that he spoke to media, and look, the next day the news commit looks like he's already been wearing red for the past how many months or years, but he hasn't yet. But again, it goes back to who they recruit and exactly the type of players that they look for when they recruit, which is something that Sampson kind of preaches every time he speaks to us, and you can see it from top to bottom.
And viewers, listeners, folks watching us on Twitter and YouTube, I'm putting it out there to the universe. Hope it happens. Working on it. Just thinking positive. I'm going to try to get an interview with Jacob some point soon. So let's put that out there. Hope that happens. Okay. But yeah, another good get, a national get. And I noticed that on his IG that at least 8, if not more, Coogs were following Jacob on IG before he announced. So, and I mean, most of the other players and stuff I obviously recognize the Cougar names. So that all added to the commit, family atmosphere, the vibe. And Jacob acknowledged that he connected and bonded with JoJo Tugler and Cordelius Jefferson when he made his visit. So, and Cordelius even on Thursday tweeted out that he was looking forward to Jacob's announcement on Friday. So,
and JoJo, he's been retweeting a couple of stuff too after the announcement that the McFarland made. So, I mean, they're already. It looks like they're already a tight-knit group for the class of 2023.
So the family atmosphere looks good. It's a positive. Looking forward to Houston basketball officially joining the Big 12 July 1, 2023. So that's months away. Basketball season in the American practice begins on Tuesday. So Coach Sampson and the players are getting ready for one final season in the American Athletic Conference starting this Tuesday. And Coach Sampson is making a point. Everybody knows He's focused on this season. Stop asking him about next season, Big 12. Nope. He will say it. Fans who follow the team know it. I want the guys to get better September and October. And then October to November. And then November to December. December, January, etc. And be playing our best basketball in March. And hopefully April. That's what he's going to say. Do not waste colleagues, media, if you're listening, if you don't know any better, do not ask him about, well, Coach, what do you think about the Big 12? Unless you want to get looked at sternly or almost cussed out. Because he'll be like, what conference are we playing in? Where are we right now? In the American. Okay, so why are we asking about the Big 12? Okay, so that's his focus is the American Athletic Conference.
As well it should be.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, we hadn't talked to you since the Browns beat the Steelers on Thursday a few days ago. But your thoughts on that?
My thoughts, I thank you for asking me because I thought this literally as I was driving home. I owe Kevin Stefanski a couple of apologies. One, I apologize for last year thinking he was in over his head. And I apologize for underestimating him this year. Because what I saw Thursday night with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and I know this is persona non grata in Houston, but once Deshaun Watson gets back December 4th, this is about to be real scary. Because Jacoby Brissett is serviceable. He is what we thought he was. Mm-hmm. He's a serviceable quarterback. He does what he does. And the things I saw him do in Kevin Stefanski's offense Thursday night, I'm like, when Ford gets back, let alone Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, but when Ford gets back, I mean, he's allowed in the building in 2 more weeks. So October 10th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, he's allowed back in the building. And then he's able to practice on November 27th. But he's allowed back in the building on October 10th. But when he hits the field, it's going to be scary because of what I saw that offense do to Pittsburgh on Thursday night with Jacoby Brissett. It's going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Will, don't the Cavs have media tomorrow?
Oh, to that point, at that game Thursday night, the Dog Pound captains, each home game, the Cleveland Browns defend a section of the north end zone is called the Dog Pound, and they have Dog Pound captains. And the Dog Pound captains for Thursday's game, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell.
Ooh. Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the fans love that.
Oh. Yeah.
And didn't the Cavs make some news?
Dean Wade, 3-year, $18.6 million contract extension.
Did that surprise you?
Somewhat. I know they like him. Mm-hmm. I know they like him. That was a interesting financial commitment. But he's done nothing but improve and flourish under the development of JB Bickerstaff and his staff. So I'm not surprised they kept him. I was interested to hear 3 years, 18.6. But no, he's earned. I mean, to quote Drake, he started from the bottom and now he's here, literally. So no, I wasn't surprised to hear him staying.
And let me toss this out for everybody. And folks talking about Dean Wade getting $6 million per year. I'm not mad at him. The Cavs got it. Good for him. But let me say this. When the next NBA TV deal is announced and finalized, and if the league is able to reach its goal of almost tripling its media rights deal to $8 billion, $8 or $9 billion, we're still behind the NFL. Okay, think about that.
Right.
$8 or $9 billion for the NBA. ultimately the salary cap, the team salary cap might approach $200 million.
Yep.
Which means dudes at the end of the bench, the end of the rotation, will be making salaries that you're like, what in the hell? But again, good for them, because
Absolutely.
if teams don't have it, they wouldn't offer it. Okay, so just keep that in mind going forward. The contract that Dame Lillard got is getting right now, what is it, 50 million per 54, whatever, per season. That's going to seem tame for some of these elite NBA players in a few years. Dudes might be getting 75 million, maybe even 100 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so just think about that. Okay, just prepare yourself for that going forward when the next TV deal for the NBA is hammered out. The Players Association and the NBA owners have until December this year. So if they want to open up negotiations or just extend it, there'll be some tweaks here and there, but they're not going to kill the golden goose right now. So there won't be any lockout labor, nothing, no strikes, anything like that. They'll get this done. So the money will just be rolling in. And all this, I'm happy to say, my man D-Skills H-Town is too. NBA League Pass this season, discount price, $99. So $99. So the NBA is like, hey, we're going to get our fans, lower that price, hopefully increase subscriber amounts. So look forward to that this season as well. Leonard Maddox with this comment as we wind it down here on Folks Talkin Sports. And we're getting ready we're going to do a lead-in for the AdMax Corner.
Quickly, Chris, before...
Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was just going to say an update in terms of the Derek Parish injury. A Houston source said they couldn't confirm whether he has actually torn his bicep at that time. So it looks like they're at least holding it until Monday when Holgorsen speaks, before they make any official announcements. So they could not confirm the report that he's torn his bicep, the defensive end Derek Parish for the Houston Cougars. That would probably keep him out for the rest of the season. So
yeah, they won't confirm it till Dana talks about tomorrow. So it's part of the business of colleagues breaking those stories. Hopefully Berman hasn't talked to Derek Parish about his injury. So that's what he does sometimes. So goes right to the players about injuries. But Leonard Maddox, Cougar fans are non-existent. It's embarrassing. We talked about it. I did my monologue on it. You can go to Pawd, Jama, or go to Houston Roundball Review on IG for my almost 4 minutes about it. Houston fans, they're not enough hardcore fans, ride or die, win or loss Houston fans. Well, you know it. You're learning in this year plus on Folks Talkin Sports about the Houston Cougar mindset. Doesn't compare to the Ohio State Buckeye fans. Doesn't compare. There are not enough. There may be 10 to 15,000 ride or die UH fans. Okay. I think 15,000 is being generous, maybe wishful thinking. But in order to be a big-time program, got to get to 25, 30, 40, 50,000 ride or die alums who support the program, win or lose. And I'm not saying be blindly loyal. Okay. I'm not saying excuse Dana Holgorsen's bizarre, asinine comments. Call them for what they are. Hold them accountable. Hold the administration accountable. But still support Houston Cougars athletics, Houston Cougars football, basketball, baseball, tennis, golf, track, all those sports. Because to sum it up, I'm an alum, if we don't support Houston athletics, who will? So there you go, Andy. And real quick, a reminder, the AdMax Corner is going to talk from my man, A.D. Moore, will be on the AdMax Corner playlist on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel at 7:15 this evening, 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern Time, to talk about the Texans' loss at the Bears, a 3-point loss. Texans are now what? 0-2-1. 0-2-1. So yet to beat in the win column. But A.D. Moore, we talk about the Texans. So fans, you can watch him and send your comments and vent and complain and do what you do there.
Tank for Bryce. That's the mindset. Or CJ Stroud, of course.
Okay, thank you.
I'll wait for it.
Who? I'm like Mike Jones up in here. Who?
Yeah. But Andy, you can comment on Leonard's comments about fans, and then we'll wind it down.
No, I mean, I think a lot of it was said, and you kind of, Chris, you went back and forth a little bit with a couple of commenters during last night's Let's Rage Coogs, just in terms of being able to support the program. And like you said, not necessarily be blindly a supporter, but obviously being able to call out stuff when they need to be called out. But just in terms of supporting the players, supporting the program, showing up at games, supporting the program overall, just in terms of financials, and just being out at games and being not necessarily blindly followers, but being able to build an atmosphere that, in the long term, is going to benefit Houston overall, because when they do bring in recruits, they can leave a mark. This is a place where I could see myself in the future. This is a place that could become a destination. And what you got a lot of pushback from people in last night's Let's Rage Coogs was that we're not going to show up unless, one, Houston shows that they are going to put a product on the field that's going to make them want to show out, or two, they get better opponents, which again, they kind of went back to the well of whenever they moved to the Big 12 and they have Baylor's, Texas Tech, TCU in town. That's going to be when they start to show up, which again goes back to the long theme of, Houston fans don't show up to watch the Cougars play, but they show up to watch the opponent, which even with a successful program as the men's basketball team has established the last few years, we even with them, they still saw some of that when the non-conference slate was announced. And there weren't necessarily as many, quoting some fans, as many marquee matchups as they would like at Fertitta Center.
Will, any thoughts on what we've said from a premier Big Ten program via Ohio State University?
I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm just thinking. So fans won't show up until they put a product on the field. I get it. But I think I heard you say, because I watched your clip, you said something about they more so come for the opponent versus as opposed to the home team. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of summarizing what you said? Okay. So I guess my issue with that is, why are you coming? If it's all about the opponent, go to Waco, go to Lubbock. I mean, I don't know the geographics. So if I'm off, tell me. I don't know how far those campuses are, but that's crazy to me. That I much rather go see the opponent than to come see my home team. I don't build that camaraderie with my home school, but I much rather come support, because that's what you're doing. You're calling yourself honestly, to be truthful, if I
say it. No, say it.
Here I go.
No.
How do you call these people fans if I'm only coming to see the opponent? They're not fans. How is that a fan that I'm only coming to see the opponent?
Yep.
I don't know. That's just me. But that's I'm just non-conference. I was trying to look up real quick Houston's non-conference schedule next year. I don't know. Does anybody know
football?
For football?
Yeah.
I know they have one of them that's slated for Rice.
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that may be part of it too. Like, bro, you step your game up.
But I mean, yes, but that also gets into it. You want to see the opponent, not Houston. And I just don't understand. I mean, it must be a sponsorship thing. I have
3 of those non-conference opponents for Houston.
Most of them
UTSA. So UTSA is going to be back at TDCU Stadium. That's actually going to be the season opener, at least the September 2 game, which would be the week 1 game. I don't imagine if Houston could schedule something, but September 2 against UTSA at TDCU Stadium. So if it's anything like it was this past year, that's a game that would be worth going to. September 9, this time at Rice, and then they have a game September 23 against Sam Houston, the Sam Houston Bearcats. That's the 3 opponents they have so far for non-conference. So they have, depending on the Big 12 schedule, because the Big 12 plays 9 conference games, correct?
Yes.
Yes. If they don't, they
So
will.
so then that would be the three non-conference games.
And I get it. I mean, I'm looking at Ohio State. So again, I can only go by what I know. And Ohio State, they say this, that our template, our formula, is to have one high-profile non-conference game a year at home. This year was Notre Dame. Next year is Notre Dame. Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So next year, looking at it, non-conference, September 9, Youngstown State at the Shoe in Columbus. September 16th, Western Kentucky in Columbus. And September 23rd at Notre Dame. You know, that's pretty much the template. You know, going to 2024 at Washington, Saturday, September 14th. That's the pro. I know going down the line, I think 25 or 26 and 27, it's Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think 27 and 28, Alabama. So it's always that one high-profile top 5 matchup, and then the Western Kentucky or the Arkansas State.
You know, there's a formula: a Power 5 program, top Power 5 program.
Yep.
Then a mid-tier, and then maybe an FCS.
Nah, we can't.
No, not you guys.
Yeah,
that's what Pesman has said. That's a formula.
Okay.
You know, and some power programs stick to that. You know, a top tier, mid FBS, and then FCS.
Yeah.
Others, like the Ohio State, are different. They're all FBS, but one top tier. The Coogs going forward at 24, UNLV, Boise State. 25, Colorado, Boise State. 26, Utah, Colorado, Georgia Southern. 27, Utah, Georgia Southern. 28, UNLV, Sam Houston. Okay, and then add in Rice, which I don't understand playing Rice. I know it's the Bayou Bucket City Channel, all that. Got to be a huge sponsorship amount because
From
Rice
HEB.
just does not. They don't support football. Their support of football is less than Houston support of football. Okay, so the money doesn't make sense. It's not a money-making game to play Rice, and I'm not sure how much of a rival it is between Houston and Rice in football. I don't care if they're less than 5 miles apart from each other. It's just not. It doesn't make sense financially to play Rice in football. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. Tony M, Little Maddox, thank you. D Skills H-Town, everybody watching on YouTube, watching Folks Talkin Sports on Folks Talk Sports Twitter account. Always appreciate it. Will, how can folks find you and interact with you on social media?
Can you put it on the crawl? Because I want to ask, and I use my time for something else.
Yep.
Kind of. All right. I'm gonna cake for my man CJ Stroud, since we talk about tank for Young and all of that. No, let's get with CJ. So last night, 55-21 win over Wisconsin. CJ was 17-27, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, which is a nation-leading 16 for the season. He leads the nation in touchdown passes, 16 after 5 last night. His first interception of the season was thrown last night. So, and another interesting stat that I think people would love to hear, and keep this in mind as you watch your Houston Texans play the rest of the season. CJ Stroud has started 16 games at Ohio State. Okay? 16 games he started at Ohio State. 7 of them, almost half, he's thrown 5 touchdown passes.
Wow.
Take that with you. No, that's all. It's all out.
Okay. And how can folks find you, sir, on social media?
All right. Willy Gibson 7 on Twitter, as well as Instagram. Will Knows on Facebook. And WTGsports.com.
And Yanez, you're next, sir. How can folks find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter at Yanez_5. Busy week when it comes to Houston athletics. Dana Holgorsen will have his press conference tomorrow morning, and then, like you alluded to, Chris, Tuesday will be really busy because that's the day that usually defensive coordinator Doug Belk has his availability. A couple of football players, or a few football players, speak, but then, of course, the men's basketball team kicks off their first practice of the season, so that's going to be something that a lot of UH fans are going to be looking forward to, September 27th. And then the women's basketball team has their first practice on September 28th as well, which is this coming Wednesday. And then Houston and Tulane is on a Friday, so it's going to be a jam-packed week.
And I am Kris Gardner, Twitter account, VHR Review, Houston Roundball Review on Instagram. I've been much more active on Instagram, posting the last few days. Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. I'm trying to be like my young man Andy Yanez, posting content on different platforms.
I forgot to plug that we are on TikTok now. Let's Rage Coogs on TikTok, and we've actually had. So far I've only used it to post a couple of the postgame clips or the press conference clips, but so far it's done. Each clip has done about 400 views, which off the bat, I guess that's pretty decent for TikTok. But we're on TikTok. Let's Rage Coogs. No caps, everything lowercase, no extra stuff. It's just LETSRAGECOOGS. So Let's Rage Coogs on TikTok, Instagram, and then obviously, of course, Pawd, Slama, Jama on Twitter and on YouTube. We are the road. I'm gonna steal this from the NCAA. The road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is where we are at there. So obviously, of course, be sure to follow Pawd, Slama, Jama on YouTube.
I'm not on TikTok yet, but I am pledging to do more YouTube shorts with basketball coming up. So get ready. I'm going to do a short tomorrow. And at some point, I may start singing again. So follow me on Houston Roundball Review on YouTube, Houston Roundball Review on Instagram, ZHR Review on Twitter. Follow us overall on Folks Talk Sports here at Folks Talk Sports Twitter account. Subscribe to the channel at the Houston Roundball Review. Subscribe to Pawd, Slama, Jama. Follow us on Twitter. It's about to get fun. Willy Gibson's going to be at the Cavs Media Day. I'll be at the Rockets Media Day. So it's going to be a busy week. Tune in. Reminder as well to the AdMax Corner on the Houston Roundball Review in a few minutes, 7:15 Central, 8:15 Eastern. Our show, Folks Talkin Sports, audio version, will be available on Spotify, iHeart, and Apple. So do that thing. Hit the like button, hit that star button, give us ratings, all those things. And I'm doing better. So promoting our show. All of us are going to do better. I mean, I'm critical of use of marketing. So I got to do better myself. So we got to do better promoting our work. Go ahead, Andy.
A couple of things. I just wanted to answer D-Skills' question if I'm going to start doing dances for the TikTok. I mean, heck, if it gets those views, I might have to start doing, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not that good when it comes to the TikTok trend, but if it'll get us views, I guess I got to hop on that train. And then I just want to give huge shouts to Akib Ghazi, who obviously he helps us out when it comes to Let's Rage Coogs. He's one of the co-hosts there. It was his first time being at a Houston Cougars football game, and he helped me out a lot tremendously, just being able to take the reins of the Pawd, Slama, Jama Twitter and social media. He had his post on Instagram got us a couple of followers and just engagement overall with the stories and stuff. He has a lot of experience doing it for another platform on UFC, so he has that experience and he really helped me out. So I just wanted to shout him out for that.
Thanks to Akib. We're growing, people. So join us, help us grow. Tell your friends about our show. Thank you, Tony M. D-Skills, for the compliment, the kind words. We'll be back next Sunday and might have a special guest. Who knows? Tune in next Sunday on Folks Talkin Sports. Take care. Peace.